Zels, I just want to say, yay! Like a chom. Like a chom. In South Africa, that means we did you. To all my Irish mates, I want to say, there's no humility here today. Be humble and keep your feet on the ground and reach for the stars.
Oh, my goodness, mate. I can tell you enjoyed that one.
I did enjoy that one, eh? And if that was a boxing fight, the referee would have had to stop it.
Throw the towel, mate.
No, the corner was never going to throw in the towel. They had to stop it. They didn't, and it was just pure bliss. Close to 20 scrums. Don Himon. I mean, it's the match of the century for him. Tank Lanning,
I was going to say, mate.
Tanky, I mean, how many stakes was he on?
He's been streaking in his Speedo since Saturday, mate.
So, and Rassi, thumbs up, brother. Finally, conquered the ghost of the Aviva Stadium. You can't really call it a ghost because they only played there once under him. 2022, they lost 19-16, 24-13, 4 tries to 1. Everyone saying, but it should have been 40. You know, I would have taken 1 point.
Exactly. Spot on.
Let's be happy with 4 tries to 1.
Yes.
149 points scored on tour now, and only 12 have come from penalties. We're a team that certainly likes to score tries.
Yes, we do.
Thanks, Tony Brown.
Yeah.
Just an incredible evening. It was made a little bit heart-stopper for me because I had to file for the Sunday Times right on the final whistle. As you'll see, I spoke a lot about the first half. And that was where it all started to happen. Now, our mates at Steco, they're all about poor, precision, sustainability. And you and I debated this throughout the weekend, now that I'm back on WhatsApp. And it was, who gets a Steco power play? Was it going to be Reiner? Was it going to be Sasha? Damian Willems's finish was magnificent. All 3 of those tries could comfortably have been the Steco power play. But alas, no. Pick any one of those 20 scrums.
Spot on.
Irish ball or Bok ball and the penalty try.
Yeah.
Our Steco power play goes to the Bok pack.
Mate, I was just talking about it this morning with someone. I think Don Himon might be the most valuable coach in world rugby right now, the most valuable specialist coach, because that box scrum, regardless of who's in there, 12, 18 months ago, nobody even knew who Brian Fenter was. Now he looks like he should be on the shortlist for World Player of the Year. The box scrum is just unstoppable. I don't know how they're doing it, mate, but whatever it is, keep it secret and long may it continue because it's been brilliant.
The highlight for me was watching Andrew Porter when they said you got to go back on. What?
No mas!
You know, he's still chasing the first star in the Investec Champions Cup, and there he was. Me, back. So
the box are the worst thing that ever happened to old Grug from the Crudes, Andrew Porter. I mean, he hasn't been able to get away from them, mate.
He hasn't recovered since Leinster came to Loftus 2 seasons back, and they were scrummed back to Midrand. Okay?
Exactly.
From Pretoria to Midrand. No, that was a beating of note, and I mean, social media, guys, no apologies. I was a little bit active there, looking for me Irish mates. Couldn't find many of them. But Charles Kraus from the URC, South African, who's based there, he's the COO. He sent me a message just before the kickoff, and he said, I'm feeling a bit nervous. And my response was, do you know how nervous your Irish colleagues are feeling? So this one's gone around on Facebook. A lot of you will have seen it. The opening paragraph of an article by an Irish scribe, James Joyce.
JJ, you say?
If rugby is a fight, this one was outside the chip shop. Mr. Chippy, after the pub, Ireland were beaten up. They never dropped their heads. Great Irish spirits, or took a backward step, but they were fed into the blender like a smoothie.
Oh, I like that, mate.
South Africa ran through them and ran over them and bludgeoned them with blunt force. Only Ireland's courage saved them from a scoreboard thrashing. It was an extraordinary test match, full of tension, viciousness, and hoarded bitterness. The Boks are not just the best team in the world, they are the master bullies. Once they grabbed Ireland's throat, they never let them breathe. So now we've won it all. We've done it all. He call me Boka. He call me Boka. La 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 la.
You are unplayable today, mate.
I'm a happy guy.
And you should be.
And you know, Ireland, they've been number 1 in the world at periods between World Cups. And they'd beaten us at the Aviva. Great 83rd minute win against us in Durban, Frawley's drop goal, 25-24. They had the preamble to the test, 3 wins out of 4. It's not really a rivalry, is it? When it's 3 wins out of 4.
Yeah.
They were cock a hoop.
Yeah.
But now we've won in Dublin and Ireland. We've won. Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienaber, we always lump them in together because he was in charge 20-23. They've won in every country that they've played against, every team that they've played against from that country. And if you say, why would you qualify that? Because sometimes at World Cups you play teams from another country.
It's true.
So they are the greatest. They've done it all now. They've done it all. And they've done it with so many players over the last 2 years. And this was the one. Rassie spoke about finally getting the monkey off their back, the Aviva monkey. I thought it was more like the Aviva gorilla. But the way they did it, that box scrum, Zels, talk me through it.
Mate, so first of all, I just want to say, you say Jacques and Rassie. Are we just giving Jacques some credit for this win on the weekend? Did he play his part, mate, in Ireland's demise? Is that what we're saying?
No, I'm saying that he's always part of this team.
He is always
spiritually, mentally.
That's the truth.
He's missing the box.
He's on
We're
Zoom,
missing
mate.
him.
He's on Zoom with them every week.
He's missing the box. We're missing him.
Yeah.
And he'll be back July
Can't
2027.
Can't wait. Can't wait. Absolutely emphatic physical performance from the box on the weekend. Just absolutely ferocious how they were in the set piece. There was nowhere for Ireland to hide. And the box pulverized them. And I think probably a feather in Ireland's cap that we are celebrating this win like we are. It just goes to show how far Ireland have come since the days where people might not have got up for a game against Ireland, you know. They are a team to beat, and they are a team to beat in Dublin. And it's superb that the box have now ticked that achievement off. That milestone has been achieved. They've beaten this Irish team in Dublin. And like you say, there's not very many challenges left for them to complete, except for the one that's never been done before, which is to win 3 World Cups in a row.
Well, Ireland is now ranked 4th in the world, and they shouldn't be 4th in the world. They should be a lot higher than New Zealand, who are ranked 2nd in the world.
Agree with that.
Oh, no, New Zealand's 3rd. Isn't England back up to 2nd now? You know, Monty sent me, the great Percy Montgomery sent me a wonderful message this morning. He said, just as we finished off these Irish guys, England now believes they're the best team.
I love it.
So England are back. They are considered now the 2nd best team in the world by all the English media and the English players.
I think they believe it's the best team, mate.
Well, they believe they're the best team. But the 4th of July, 2026, yep. There's
We're already on our way there.
firecrackers. Because England are coming to South Africa as part of the Nations Championship. The fixture list hasn't been announced, but I think take them to Nelspruit. We like to play at that stadium.
Yeah.
And then we give them a lekker clap before we see off Scotland and Wales. And then the greatest rivalry tour. Scotty Robinson looked at that and thought, why 2026?
Mate, before we get there, we've got to play Wales this week.
We'll get to Wales, the
All right,
principality.
all right.
I'm actually going to be there.
What?
Yes.
You're going to Wales, mate?
Yeah. Thanks very much for sending me there.
I did it.
I'm going to the principality. I'm going to be invincible. David Jones is feeling invincible. I thought he had the nicest jersey.
Mate, I'm convinced he meant invisible. It couldn't have been invincible, surely.
Yeah. So I think the rugby world's gone mad when France were roasted for scoring 48 points against Australia.
I saw that. Somebody wrote they edged Australia.
Yeah.
I don't know, mate.
Our lads and our wonderful lads, Skulk and Nick Wint, very complimentary of the game itself. It was a Barbarians type game. But 48-33 in Paris, that's a hell of a good win against Australia. The Australian side, they beat us 38-22.
Correct.
At Ellis Park. And that's what everyone in World Rugby is asking, how? What happened there?
Exactly, mate.
The miracle of Ellis Park. That should be like the miracle of Brighton, the miracle of Ellis Park. Joe Smith, I came, I saw, I should have left.
Exactly. You told me he's here until the end of July. What?
He's poor Les Kisses has to do another Super Rugby campaign. But then Wales concede 52 points. And everyone talks about how great they were. And this is the upward trend for Wales. They've conceded 52 points against the All Blacks in their last 3 matches at the Principality Stadium. They conceded 52 against the Pumas 4 weeks ago. 52 against New Zealand.
That's consistency, mate.
They got out of jail against Japan with a last-minute penalty. They have won 2 out of their last 20
Oh, 2 great wins, though, mate.
against Japan. But they feel invincible.
I mean, how?
Or is it invincible?
Ludicrous that they could come
So
out
the
with
rugby world's gone mad when you're celebrating Wales conceding 52 at home and you thrashing the French for scoring 48 against Australia in Paris.
No, agreed. But I will say this about Wales. They are improving. I mean, they were at a space where they would have lost 82-0 against that All Blacks team. The fact that they could put 26 points on any New Zealand team is something to celebrate, I think, for the Welsh. And this particular All Blacks team is not strong at all. So, I mean, as much as Razor will celebrate a resounding victory, there's lots to scratch your head around that performance because, wow, every time New Zealand scored, Wales scored. Every time Wales scored, New Zealand scored. It was basketball.
It's kind of like the worst thing that could have happened to the All Blacks to end up getting 50 because, once again, it's elastoplast over a bigger wind. The referee, Holly Davidson. Holly Davidson or Holly Davidson?
Holly Davidson?
Holly Davidson. Thought you would get that one.
I did.
Vroom, vroom. I thought she refereed very well until she didn't back herself. So she saw a try, awarded it. Then when the TMO said, I think you should have another look, she said, show me, is there any conclusive proof to overturn my decision? He said, no, I've lost sight of the ball. She said, hang on a second, so have I. Okay, I made a mistake, no try. Now, she saw it in real time there. She gives the try, stick with the on-field decision. So that was the one thing I thought she could have sent 10 Welsh players off. She kept on saying, final warning. You're now back on a final warning because they were all over the breakdown and that. But she had the great line early on in the match that I think summed up the All Blacks season. They had gone 10 phases, coast to coast, left to right, right to left, and she blew on a penalty advantage, and then she blew her whistle and said, New Zealand, you're going nowhere. And I thought,
That Razor's tenure.
this is it, they're going nowhere. So, and back they went for the penalty.
Yeah.
And then again, what summed up, and they played some enjoyable Barbarian-style rugby because they didn't have that pressure from the Welsh pack that England put on them.
Big time.
They didn't have that defensive rush that England put on them. But there was one where they also went side to side, made about 10 meters, up to the 10-meter line, threw it back to Ruben Love in his own half, and he got a kick charge down, and Wales scored.
Fantastic.
Madness.
Absolute madness.
They work with their quick hands to get 50 meters upfield and then chuck the ball back 20.
No. Mate, we spoke about it on the weekend. You said they're playing Crusaders rugby in the test arena. That's what they're doing. It doesn't work. You're not playing Super Rugby, mate. The margins are narrow. That is not going to work without a tight five that is in complete control, which is what the Boks have got. New Zealand doesn't have it.
Enough of them.
Enough.
We worry about them next year.
Exactly. Exactly.
Or do we worry? The greatest rivalry tour. It starts at Ellis Park.
I'll tell you what, mate. Things will ramp up. I know you said it can't happen because they don't have the Bucks, but things will ramp up big time. They put Jamie in that job and Tony skips back home. That series next year will just go up 20 levels.
Tony's not leaving and Jamie's not going.
I don't know, mate.
New Zealand doesn't have the
I
money.
don't know, mate.
New Zealand doesn't have the money.
I don't know.
They've got to take this one on the chin and swallow it a little bit. So that test series starts Ellis Park. Just remind them always of their great wins and ours.
Yep.
Comes down to Cape Town for the decisive one. DHL Stadium, and then back to FNB Stadium, 94,000, where we redress the wrongs of Israel Dag's try. When Ma'anonu broke John Smith's 100 test, when Ma'anonu gave him a gift, his boot, as he went through, John Smith said, on my 100 test, I was left with Ma'anonu's boot.
Congratulations.
Watching Israel Dag fly over in the corner to take the game 29-22 in front of
There you go,
94,000. Okay. So, and it starts off obviously in Cape Town against the DHL Stormers. Nice to see you guys knock over the All Blacks 50 years after Western Province and Robbie Blair knocked them over 12-11, and I was there as a kid. That corner conversion, 12-11. Glory days then. So it's going to be full on for next year. URC, Investec Champions Cup, EPCR, Box. But for now, let's go back to Dublin.
Let's go. Where's your passport?
Let's go back to Dublin, and a lot be made of the Box not taking advantage of that having two more players on. Do you think it was that they felt the referee would send more cards because they were just taking scrum after scrum, getting penalty after penalty, but then the cards started drying up as well because they had to scrum against someone?
Mate, I've got some opinions about the game that probably won't be very popular, but I think the Boks went out to humiliate Ireland. I don't think it was about tries and points, and I think they went out to absolutely humiliate Ireland in Dublin. They had enough of the banter, and they basically went out to bury Ireland.
How did they do it?
No, just like that. Hilarious, mate. Hilarious.
I love it.
So, and I think they achieved that. I think the players in Ireland will feel like they got absolutely bullied, right? And so the scoreboard might not show it because there were only 11 points in the game. But if this had been a serious test match in a World Cup and it was about winning, the Boks would have kicked their points and they would have stretched the lead and made Ireland chase the game. But I think once the Boks saw the red card and realised they were going to play the final 60 minutes with an extra man, I think Rassie just sent down the old call, mate. Whatever the modern day equivalent is of 99, he said, let's do that. And I think they just try to keep the game as close as possible. Not sure if they knocked on purpose. If they did, it worked a charm because those scrums, mate, were just absolutely destroying the Irish. And so it was job done. I mean, I don't know how much morale they'll have left. What I will say is that I think Ireland, ironically, will take a lot out of that game because Ireland were playing with 5 players at one stage and they held the Boks out. I mean, their defence worked. They kept the Boks at bay. They actually won the second half 6-5. So there'll be things in there for the Irish to take out. And I definitely tip my hat to an aging team that has a lot of question marks around them in a very difficult situation with being a man down and then losing 4 more players to yellow cards. They did dig deep and they did front up to the challenge. The Boks were too powerful for them, but they deserve a lot of credit, I think.
No, I mean, they were in that fight. In typical Irish fashion, they refused to go away. It was like a pub fight. You don't just knock out an Irish bloke.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to basically
get the spade,
get a bullet, and then you're still not sure about it. Okay. So no one's disputing that. But again, when you look at the difference in this Irish team to where they were 2 years ago, and we've said it ad nauseum, 23 had to be their year. 23 had to be the year they won the World Cup.
Agreed.
Because they felt they could beat the Boks. They beaten them in the league stages. They get past New Zealand. They get past Argentina.
Yeah.
And we are the ones then kind of are second guessing.
Yeah.
And he's in your head. He's going through the Stade de France.
Yeah.
And it didn't happen. And they haven't quite been the same since. They've lost 3 in a row to New Zealand now. They've lost to South Africa. And they were pulverized by France in the Six Nations, conceding 42 points. And that was without Antoine Dupont, who got injured very early.
Yeah.
And Max Luca came on and did very, very well.
Yes, he did.
So when they beat us 13-8 at the World Cup, Farrell was like, feet on the ground, we can play better. We felt we were their equal, etc., etc. They get humiliated in Aviva. And he speaks about how proud he is of the boys. This is a great, great fighting spirit. We can take so much out of it. That sounded like the Irish management ever beating the All Blacks in those 111 years.
I agree with that.
There was this is a shambles in the way we approach this. We were overzealous, etc., etc. It's going to be a hell of an interesting Six Nations.
Yeah.
England on the rise. France are not going away. Louis Bilberry, 2 great tries. While he was scoring there, Malcolm Marx was being given these awards as the player of the year. It was very, very odd timing. The one out is shredding Australia to pieces, one of the finalists. He's broken the Six Nations try-scoring record. He's been on fire for Bordeaux, and he doesn't even know that trophy's gone, mate. World Rugby. Another one for you guys. But it's going to be a bloody good Six Nations when you think Italy have improved.
Yep.
Wales are back, scoring tries, also conceding plenty.
Yep.
Scotland, they're always going to be favourites until they kick off. Okay. And then there's England and Ireland.
Yep.
It's going to be a very, very good Six Nations.
Mate, I think it'll be. What was this? Tell me the story about the oak from France, or he was going to France, and the South Africans, the journos, didn't know their French very well, and to sort of wish him farewell, they wrote the headline "Bonjour."
No, that was old Hilly Blyden who worked for the Cape Times, and Fabien Gaultier had come to False Bay to play for a season with Laurent Caban.
Okay.
And Nick Mallet was coaching there, and obviously the Nick Mallet French connection. And when he left, instead of saying au revoir, he said bonjour, Fabien, which is hello, Fabien.
I love it.
That was the back paging. Bonjour,
I
Fabien.
love it. Well, so the point I'm trying to get to is, I think for Ireland, this will be the au revoir Six Nations for this group of players. I think the veterans in this, they rallied in Dublin. They sort of got a taste. They had blood in their mouth, and they stood up and said, we're defiant. We're not going to let you push us around, and we're going to hold on as best we can. And I think we're going to see that in the Six Nations. And I think they might pox a win in the Six Nations. They might edge England to the title. But I think that'll be the line. That'll be the end of this crop of players.
And England, Los Pumas. Where do the Los Pumas, when are they going to come to terms with, don't give a team a 17-point start?
Yeah.
They gave Scotland a 21-point start and were brilliant in coming back. They gave England a 17-point start. Really stuffed up a couple of gimme tries themselves, but fought back brilliantly. Got it down to, I was about to text you again, these guys can't back it up! And scored, late, drop-kicked it over, won back the kickoff receive, took that ball up for 4 minutes. They worked 80 meters.
Yeah.
Got the penalty, kicked it to the corner. They just got to catch, drive, and score, and they win the game. And Montoya misses his line-out jumper. El Capitano.
Mate, it was 8 a.m. in the morning in Buenos Aires. I mean, the guys, they are going to be slow starters. They're way behind in their body clocks, mate. As soon as we take a World Cup to Argentina, mate, it's over. Nobody beats the Pumas in Buenos Aires. And a World Cup has never been done before.
Only England. So that's 3 in a row for England.
Yeah.
Credit to them. They are now 11 in a row. I see our man Henry Pollock was there at the end at the tunnel with a scuffle. So
Gracious guy. I really enjoyed it.
And he knows where the camera is.
Yeah.
And then our guy, our big friend from the World Cup, Tom Curry, knocking over the wonderful
Felipe Conteboni.
Conteboni. He says, I'm 48, he's 27.
What do you-
What's he trying to prove by shoving me and telling me to F off? I don't know. Maybe that's how you like your English players. Bullies.
Mate, I think bottom line is Bongi was right, mate.
Hy was op die witkant gewees.
Bongi was right.
On the tunnel. Hy was op die witkant gewees. Oh, Tom Curry, eh?
Yeah.
Not one of my favorite takeaways.
No, but I mean, look, the fact that we all feel like this about England is fantastic for the game. And fantastic for English rugby. I think for too long, people have said, oh, they're a great bunch of blokes, nice guys. Oh, you must meet them in the post-match. That doesn't win you trophies. You need guys like this, disruptors, guys who are willing to put in the shoulder and put their face in dark places. So I think Henry Pollock, the Currys, and the rest of the youngsters coming through are fantastic for England. I think they are going to be something to behold in the future.
And George Ford, I mean, we're doing this collab with Pick and Pay ASAP, the smart kicker. You can win up to 10 million rands worth in prizes. The Boks haven't done a hell of a lot of kicking, 4 poles, like we said, only 4 penalties, 149 points. But George Ford, he's been on fire for England with the boot.
Yep.
The biggest shock was he missed 1 drop goal in front of the poles. But he's certainly taken those 2 matches in Argentina where his kicking was outstanding, and he's brought it back to these autumn internationals, and he's for now justified why he should be the 10. There's no Finn Smith, there's no Owen Farrell there, and there's no Marcus Smith. So they have got a lot of talent, and they are building a nice squad. I really enjoy the look of their backs. I think Mitchell's a good 9.
Mate, how about that Max Ajomu that came through this
Max
weekend?
Ajomu.
What a player,
What
mate.
a name.
What a great player. I thought he was fantastic.
And when will people stop kicking on Freddie Stewart? That's the one thing that I can do is
The
take a
one
high
thing,
ball.
exactly. He's standing on a ladder.
He's
Please.
about 6'5". I mean, he is brilliant under the high ball. And every ball goes up to him.
Yeah,
Okay?
maybe people just like to see him catch, mate.
Exactly. Because he's not the most dynamic player. I
No.
think they need something a bit more extravagant at the back. Something like a Damian Willems, who really is coming to his own in the
Yes,
last...
he has. He's been superb. Absolutely superb at fullback. He's been outstanding on this end of your tour.
How was that finish of his? And how was Sasha taking 4 defenders out the game? as Skulk said in his analysis, I love Skulk's halftime analysis with Nick. That to me is the A team that they got on SuperSport. And he said what people won't realize is no other flyer would have got to that position that quickly.
Correct.
And naturally, because of his ability to offload and make that kind of pass at that kind of pace, effectively taken 4 defenders out. And then, hey, it's been a decade that we've been waiting for someone to say to Gibson Park, there you go, mate.
Thanks for playing.
That handoff on the inside. Clean sheet, it's over.
Good night.
That acceleration and through.
Right.
Just magnificent.
Gorgeous.
He has got a skill and an ability that no one really has.
And, mate, you know, maybe the most underrated breakout player of this interview, or actually the second half of the season, has been Kobus Reinach. I don't know who made him angry, mate, but finally...
What a rookie!
I mean, you know what I mean? He's come out there, mate. He's playing like he's 23 and he just wants to punch everyone in the face. And he's getting under everyone's skin. He's had a fantastic season.
He's my rookie of the year.
He really is. Hey?
And you know when it all changed for him? When he signed for the Stormers.
Made him very angry, mate.
It made him very happy.
Yeah.
He has played brilliant rugby. He was outstanding in Wellington. Back at home, they've got the mix right with him starting, with Grant Williams coming off the bench. But he's enjoyed, I mean, that French test. I mean, that was...
Mate.
That
He was frothy.
That was... I've been at Montpellier for too long. I've taken so much abuse from you guys post the World Cup. And I didn't even play in that final.
Exactly.
And he was up for that French game in Paris.
Yeah.
And he was up for this game. And that's the kind of 9 we need in the beginning of a game. Confrontational.
Totally.
Got still at his age has got this incredible acceleration.
Boost, yeah.
And then the one part of Sasha's game that he's so underrated is how physical he is. And he gets stuck in and he's a big lad. I mean, he's over 6'1". Damien Delandi on his inside, Jesse Krill, Kanan Moody was outstanding under that high ball.
Yeah.
Chesin, we know what he can do. And then I think just Damian Williams' finishing and his positional play. And then your guy, Jasper. I mean, you've now got to say after 2 years, this guy,
Fantastic.
I can spill.
Yeah. No, he's coming to his own big time, mate. What a powerhouse. Absolute freaking destructor.
Are you
steamroller.
conceding now that Jasper is the oak?
Well, I mean, he is, though. There's no doubt, because there is no doubt, mate. We'll play anybody else at 8 except another 8 right now. So apparently Jasper is the guy. Yeah, he may not be your cup of tea, but you can't take away from the fact that he's an absolute demolisher in contact. Just physically, just a rock.
He is my cup of tea. Okay?
And there you go.
He's my cup of tea, as is Wilco Low.
Woo.
When him and Steenekamp came on, that 41st minute, it was poetry. I know its tank was just brine at that stage. The beers were flowing. It was just glorious. And you knew it was coming.
Mate, so, yeah, I mean, like, Malcolm Marx is World Player of the Year, and deservedly so. They could have chosen any of those guys in that Final Four. They would have been deserved winners. But what Wilco Low has done this season, mate, for me, he is if you had to choose a standout player from the box, it's either going to be Sasha or it's going to be Wilco in my books. I thought he was immense. And just basically the box only have to play for 40 minutes, because when that guy comes on in the second half, it's overs cadovers. So, love him.
Malcolm Marx, so glad he got it.
Yep.
Uh,
What the box should have done is said, we're not accepting this award. We are a collective, mate.
Yeah.
We don't accept individual accolades.
until you give Rassie the award. Until you make him Coach of the Year.
Yes.
We don't want this award.
Exactly.
Okay, we'll take it just this time. But lovely the way it was given by Victor Matwell too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
No big ceremony
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
change room, play of the match. And he's been outstanding.
So is Ox. So is Peter Steph Toy.
No, they've all been. But Malcolm Marx shouldering all the kind of responsibility, because Bongi's in different form this season.
Yeah.
Struggled with injury, struggled with form. Malcolm Marx playing on average 70 minutes a test match in the last 7-8 tests. In those big ones, 70 minutes. And times, I think he went up to 77, 78 minutes to get that amount of game time with that kind of precision. We lost a couple of nights in the second half, but 18 from 21, 11 from 11 in the first half.
Yep.
He's just been brilliant on this tour. And he played 19 games for the Kubota Spears in Japan, took them to the final. He's played 34 matches in the last calendar year. 34 matches. That guy is the World Player of the Year.
How did he get
Kes boy.
How did he get to
Shami, your boys did it. Mike Sharman.
Yeah.
Kes boys.
Yeah.
They did it.
Yeah.
Sharman's corner.
I love that nobody celebrated more than Bongi. He was standing right next to Malcolm Marx, and Victor said, hey, this oak's the World Player of the Year. That was awesome.
It was beautiful. It was
Yeah.
beautiful. So, job done in Dublin. It's Limerick. The Stormers are going to play in the Vodacom United Rugby Championship against Munster. It's a full round, just one round. I know you've been working hard behind the scenes. And one of your biggest things is obviously you just don't work one game in advance. It's Bayonne in the Investec Champions Cup. And we are going to give the Investec Champions Cup the greatest coverage over the next 6 months, because it is the greatest club rugby tournament in the world. I'm telling you now, it's the greatest tournament in the world. Some would say it's even harder than the World Cup.
What? Look, I think from a club perspective, mate, you're 100% on point. I would say it is the club equivalent of a World Cup. Hell of a difficult when you factor in the travel. You've got very little continuity and familiarity with the environment, the conditions, the refereeing. It's a really, really tough one, and you don't know before they draw the teams who you're going to be playing. It's not like, every season we take in on Cardiff, we take in on Bayonne, we take in on this team. No, you find out every season who your challengers against and where you'll be playing them. You don't play them home and away, and tough challenge.
And we as South Africans have a celebrated individual history. Over the 30 years, we've had many, many winners, many South African players who've gone over and played for the likes of Toulon Saracens. Trevor Holstead back in the day played for Munster.
Yep.
Colby playing for Toulouse. We've just had so many. I mean, that 7 strong South Africans who were playing for Toulon when they won 3 in a row. We've even had a South African playing for Leinster when they were successful in the Investec Champions Cup. Just so many great teams. Toulouse, obviously, 6 big stars. Leinster, 4. Andrew Porter, we know he's chasing number 5. And then a few of them down in 3. But Bordeaux last season, they won it for the first time. And I think that tells you the quality of the competition. Yeah. That you look at a side like La Rochelle, and when they won, it was the first, and they won it back-to-back. It was the first time they had ever won it.
Yeah.
And you look at, that's a World 15 La Rochelle team that Ronan Agora coaches.
Superstar team.
Then you look at Bordeaux and the quality of that team, and it was the first time in their history that they had won it. And I think the reminder to South African supporters, and it took a while for us in the old Super Rugby until the Bulls came and dominated and won 3 in a row, and the Lions came and played in 3 finals, is you don't just win the Investec Champions Cup. You've got to have power, precision, longevity. It's so structured, like there'll be 2 games in December, 2 in Jan, then you come back for the last 16, then the last 8, semi-final, final, and the finals in Bilbao in Spain at the end of May. So your form now is no guarantee until the end. And that's what makes it such a challenge. And where we're still learning as South African teams is to marry playing in 2 competitions. Yeah. I remember Leo Cullen saying in our first year when we played in the Investec Champions Cup and did quite well, a couple of teams got to the quarterfinals. He said, how do they balance URC? How do you balance English Prem? How do you balance top 14 to make sure you're still in the reckoning for those playoffs?
Spot on.
And make these playoffs. And it's squad depth. And when I look at, and we're going to be discussing every show, we're going to discuss in detail, building up to the 6th of December's opening round. But for a South African perspective, we couldn't have asked for a better start. The defending champions, Bordeaux, are at Loftus to play the Bulls.
Let's go.
Tell me a bit about your thoughts on that game.
Wow, I mean, that's a massive game, obviously. Bulls very notable for their the sort of challenge of trying to play a very physical team on the high felt. Loftus is a tough place to win, but Bordeaux, world beaters, even though this season, I think they're 5th in the top 14 at the moment, but a star-studded team. The question will be, who do they send on this tour to South Africa? How do they balance their commitments in the top 14 and the Champions Cup? But certainly a bunch of Oaks in that team who've already proven they can win this thing. And that's the thing with the Champions Cup is it's not just balancing 2 competitions. You have to do well in the URC to book your ticket to next year's Champions Cup, unless you win it. So you can't just be, we all in on the Champions Cup, you finish 2nd, you're playing Challenge Cup next year. So you really got to balance the URC alongside this thing. And I suppose Bordeaux has that challenge in the top 14 as well. I think Toulouse are top of the log in the top 14, and Bordeaux have got to fight with them to stay in the reckoning.
Well, at the moment, Bordeaux are 6 from 9 in the top 14. You look at them last season, their road to the final. In the quarterfinals, they beat Ulster at home 43-31. They beat Munster in that great game 47-29. And then that semi-final, they smashed Toulouse 35-18. That was Louis Bilberry's double. And then the final in Cardiff, another outstanding effort from the Northampton Saints, who had beaten Leinster the week before that. They won 28-20. They've always been the nearly men of the French top 14. They lost 59-3 in 2004 to Toulouse, and then having beaten Toulouse in the semi-final, lost last season's final 33-31 in extra time. So they are a star-studded team, and I keep on talking about that flying French winner. He is one of the superstars of world rugby. We say we got Colby, they got Louis Bilbari, and I'll always thank him for that attempted intercept. They got him sent off against the box as well. So a little bit of South African in him for me. But a great winner, and to have the quality of those kind of players coming to South Africa or playing against South African teams, I think is just outstanding.
Yeah, and the sort of top 14 sides that are in the Champions Cup give us as close as we get, I suppose, to what Super Rugby offered, because there's quite a few Fijians and Tongans and Samoans that make their way into the top 14, and they bring their own flair and their own skill set to the party. But yeah, I mean, that Bordeaux team is a powerhouse team. Well, Carl Lusardi, I suppose a Timu Wilco Low with those thunder thighs that he's got as well. He's part of the Bordeaux setup.
And our favourite player, Ben Tamiafuna. 155 kilograms of prime beef.
Wow, mate.
In that Scotland.
He's a walking bakery, mate.
Played for Tonga. They lost 56-0, but the great highlight was him over the ball, 2 Scottish props bouncing off him, and they couldn't move him. I mean, he played 36 games last season for Bordeaux. So they get their pound of flesh out of him. You look at Tian Jacobs, he's in the back rows of South African, and Jean-Luc Depré has joined them this season.
Yep.
I hope he gets to play. I mean, he suffered with injuries with the box. And then if you look, Maxime Luku, one of your favourites at 9.
Yep.
Jalibert, great 10.
Yep.
And Joey Carberry, who's gone there as well from Ireland, New Zealand-born Ireland Fluff, resurrect his career.
Yep.
Rohan Janssen van Rensburg is another South African top player. He's in the midfield.
Yep.
And then you just look at that back three, and you look at Damien Pinot and Louis Bilbiri.
Yeah. No, they're powerful, mate. They're powerful. Ackerman's going to have his hands full with those boys. If they go full metal jacket all the way to Pretoria, they are going to be fun to watch on the Highveld.
Do be pression, s'il vous plaît.
Exactly.
That's 2 draft beers, please.
It's not going to help you Wales this week, mate.
As Gav would say, merci, merci beaucoup. So it's great to have the French teams. I love us playing in the Vestic Champions Cup. We've got 3 teams in it. The Lions didn't quite make it. They're in the EPCR Challenge Cup. But for South African public to really, really get into this competition, we've got to do well, and we've got to win, and we've got to put an emphasis on it. This is bigger than any domestic competition. Yes, you've got to qualify through the URC, the South African teams, but this is the greatest club competition in the world. I'm saying it once, I'm saying it twice. I'm going to say it all season because it is.
But mate, I think, like, realistically speaking, it really is the hardest challenge. I mean, if you're the Bok coach, I think it would be easier to win a World Cup as the Bok coach than to win the Champions Cup as one of the 4 franchise head coaches. I think that's a way more difficult job, just given the logistics involved and your limited resources.
Will you take that? So you go to a World Cup, there's 8 weeks.
You're in one country.
You're one country, and you play it over that 8-week period, so you can play yourself into form. You've seen teams go into a World Cup and basically find form in a World Cup.
Yeah.
What makes this competition so hard is you can be on fire in December, lose some form in Jan,
Have an injury,
knocks you down in the pecking order, you play away in the playoffs. By the time you get to May as well, you could have 11 guys out injured.
Totally.
You could have guys coming back from another team that just scraped in. So that's what makes it so riveting and exciting, is how that dynamic changes from that opening round on December the 6th right to that the playoff weekends when they do the back-to-back. They do the EPCR final on the Friday night, the doubleheader. It's in Bilbao in northern Spain, and then obviously the Investec Champions Cup final. And like I said, a rich tapestry of South African players, but we'd love to see a South African team winning it. And when you look at squad depth, you've got to say at the moment the Sharks have flattered to deceive. The Stormers are building something quite special, and you're a part of that. But the Bulls, when you look at the squad depth available to them, when everyone is fit, and how they've come through it at an international level, they've got some amazing players there. And they'll be playing against Bordeaux, obviously, Northampton Saints, Bristol Bears, and Section Palloy. And that's probably going to be one of the easier games. They're one of the kind of newbies in terms of power in South Africa.
Yeah.
But when you look at the quality, the 2 finalists, Saints and Bordeaux, are in the Bulls grouping. And remember, Saints came last season to Loftus, withstood a barrage in the first 35 minutes. Sama got out of it. Henry Pollock was great. Cam Hanekon stood tall for the Bulls, but they came away with the spoils, and that set them up. So there's going to be some great matchups.
Pollock versus Cam Honeycomb.
Pollock was good when he came last season. Northampton, he played 22 games in the season for them.
Beautiful.
That's kind of why I think he was justified as a nominee for Breakthrough Player of the Year.
Yeah.
I love the pizzazz he brings. I love that he
Love
knows
it.
where the camera is.
Love it.
You know, a lot of people don't like it.
I love it, mate.
I love it.
Bring it.
So we are going to be talking Investec Champions Cup rugby. We're going to be educating the South African public about the quality of player that comes from England, that comes from France, that plays in the competition. We're starting to get to know the ones from Italy, from Scotland, from Wales, and from Ireland, obviously. And it's just going to be some of the greatest rugby over the period, December through till the end of May. And go out there and support, watch Super Sport, understand just why this competition is so, the title is so sought after in the traditional old European teams. They play for the star. This is the star that everyone wants. You saw Andrew Porter. I mean, he is traumatized.
He's been seeing stars for years.
Chasing that fifth star, okay? Traumatized. Leinster have 4, and it took Leinster. They won it for the first time only in 2009-10 season. Teams have taken a long time to get it right to win it. Toulouse have been the most successful with 6. Saracens have got 3. Toulon have got 3. La Rochelle got the back-to-back and then got blown away in the quarterfinals last season by Leinster. Just the quality of opposition. And I always go back to the days before we went up north. People would say, oh, imagine seeing Bordeaux play the Bulls, Toulouse play the Stormers. Well, now we have it.
It's happening, mate.
Support it.
Yes.
And while you're supporting it, support our fine partners and sponsors. Support Castle like I do every Saturday and every night. And rally your squad. 130,000 Rand. It's the Legacy Cans. It's their big campaign. Go and find them. If you can get all the Legacy Cans, it's 130,000 Rand. Follow us on Africa Picks. If you had listened to Zalzi and I, you would know that we said the box were too good to lose. You would have got some serious cash back. Not really serious. 145 on your $1,
There you go.
but not bad
That's
on an
not bad.
outright bock win. So follow us, our tips as the week builds. To Wales! It's a principality, and I'm going to be there.
Mate, I'm very much looking forward to the content that comes out of you from that side of the world.
I'm going to be in Cardiff.
That's going to be glorious, mate.
Hopefully I'll catch up with Scotty Gibbs.
Yeah, that'd be great.
A couple of the journos
Yes.
have said hello to me. They said they'll be taking me for a drink and then a beating around the corner.
This is the chippy.
And the beautiful thing is I'll be staying 10 minutes walk away from the principality.
There you go, mate.
And you know one thing. It's going to be a Friday where I feel invincible.